expansion. For any brokerage firm, that's kind of the ultimate dream, right? More licenses, new markets, a bigger footprint on the world stage. I mean, on paper, it looks like the absolute pinnacle of growth. But what if that shiny new second license is less of a stepping stone and more of a hidden trap? Let's get into it.
Now, that line might sound a little dramatic, but honestly, inside the industry, it's pretty much a law of physics. This is that exact moment where the dream of easy exponential growth just smacks right into a much harsher reality. For so many firms, this is the beginning of a quiet, downward spiral into some serious financial stress and operational chaos. And this is the mindset that drives the whole thing. It's this simple, powerful formula that seems perfectly logical. You're telling yourself, hey, more regulation, that means more trust. Or, well, more countries, that has to mean more revenue. It's this really alluring vision of global dominance, becoming bigger and stronger with every new flag you plant on the map. But that's the dream. The reality? Oh, it's almost always way more complex, way more costly, and a whole lot messier. So let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on when a broker chases that global vision. Okay, what's so interesting about this is how perfectly it captures the core misunderstanding. You think you're just going to scale up one single unified business, but the reality is you end up running a bunch of different disconnected mini businesses, and each one has its own unique problems, its own costs, and its own risks. It's not really growth, it's fragmentation. So why does this disconnect even happen? Well, most firms are so focused on the upside, the new clients, the prestige, that they completely miss these hidden traps that are just waiting for them. So let's break down the 8 biggest reasons why this whole multi-license expansion thing so often goes wrong. All right, the first and most brutal trap is cost. Founders assume that if one license costs X, then 2 are going to cost 2X. But let me tell you, that is never true. Each new jurisdiction demands its own dedicated compliance team, its own set of audits, its own local legal advisors. And what's crucial here is that none of this generates a single dollar of revenue. It's pure multiplying overhead. And this really shows you the financial shock in some pretty stark terms. The real equation is a lot closer to this. Adding that second license often triples or even quadruples your total fixed costs. It's this sudden non-linear jump in expenses that can just rapidly drain a company's cash reserves. Next up, you face the absolute nightmare of regulatory complexity. See, every regulator speaks a slightly different language. They all have different rules, different interpretations of those rules, and suddenly your team is trying to master 2 or 3 completely different rulebooks at the same time. For example, a marketing campaign that's totally fine in one country could be a major compliance violation in another. You are constantly walking a tightrope. Now this one is a silent killer. This is where a lot of expansions just quietly collapse. Payments. What used to be a smooth, simple flow of funds becomes this tangled maze. Each new license forces you to set up new bank accounts, find new payment providers, and run separate anti-money laundering procedures. The result? A system just plagued by bottlenecks and total operational chaos. Here's a trap that even the most tech-savvy founders miss. A new license often forces you to build a completely separate technology infrastructure. We're talking new servers, new partners to make sure you can execute trades, what the industry calls liquidity providers, and an entirely new risk management systems. You're not running one clean operation anymore. You're managing multiple, fragmented tech ecosystems that can barely even talk to each other. And then you've got the silent danger of regulatory conflict. Just imagine this. What happens when 2 of your regulators demand completely opposite things? One might allow a certain type of client bonus, while another strictly prohibits it. The broker gets stuck right in the middle, just trying to please 2 masters who want totally contradictory things. It's a no-win situation. As you expand, your customer support just gets stretched thin across new languages, different time zones, and all these diverse cultural expectations. Your support teams start to multiply, which makes consistent training and quality control a total nightmare. And very quickly, service quality drops and your hard-earned brand reputation starts to take a serious hit. Now, here's a problem most marketing teams never see coming. Your brand message just shatters. Because different regulators allow different promotions and different claims, you can no longer speak with one clear, powerful voice. You're forced to create all these multiple, inconsistent versions of your own company, which just confuses customers and totally dilutes your brand identity.
And the final trap is, well, it's maybe the most dangerous of all: amplified PR risk. In a global company, a single regulatory issue in one tiny jurisdiction, a fine, a warning, it doesn't stay local. It becomes instant global news.
The really crucial takeaway here is that expansion doesn't just increase your opportunities, it dramatically multiplies your exposure to reputation-killing risk.
So all of this leads to two fundamentally different mindsets, right? Two really distinct paths a company can take when it comes to growth. Let's compare them.
On one side, you've got expansion for ego. This is all about collecting licenses like they're trophies, chasing flashy headlines, and looking big just for the sake of it. Sure, it looks impressive on LinkedIn, but it rarely builds a strong business. And then you have strategic expansion. This is driven by clear financial logic, proven operational readiness, and measured, patient timing. This is the path that actually builds stable, profitable, and companies that last.
So if that's the wrong way, what does the right way look like? Well, fortunately, there is a much smarter playbook for growth. Let's take a look at how the really successful brokers build their empires.
See, smart leaders, they don't rush. Their story starts by perfecting their model in one single jurisdiction. They build bulletproof, scalable systems for everything from compliance to tech. They make sure the entire machine, operations, marketing, support, is perfectly aligned and just humming along. They prove, without a doubt, that the business is truly profitable and stable on its own. Only then, once that foundation is rock solid, do they even consider expanding. And when they do, it's done slowly, deliberately, as a controlled and strategic next step, not some risky leap of faith.
So before your company even thinks about that second license, here's a checklist of the really tough questions you need to ask. Are you genuinely ready for a 3 to 4 times increase in your fixed costs? Is your compliance infrastructure actually mature? Can your current operations honestly handle an entirely new, separate ecosystem? If the answer to any of these is a hesitant maybe or a flat-out no, then you are not ready, period.
So the big lesson here is both simple and incredibly powerful. More licenses do not automatically equal more success. In this industry, sustainability will always beat speed. A deep focus on your core business will always beat ego. And a solid, proven structure will always beat blind ambition.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own business. When you look at that next license, that next country on the map, is it truly a strategic stepping stone on a solid path? Or could it be the very stumbling block that brings the whole thing crashing down?